In chapter 3 of Pirkei Avot, Rabbi Neil ben Hakana says that whoever takes upon themselves the yoke of Torah removes from themselves the yoke of government and of worldly concerns. But whoever throws off the yoke of Torah, upon that person is laid the yoke of government and the yoke of worldly concerns. I've never really been much of a fan of this Mishnah, and that really is due to my grounding, my education, my practice as a Reformed Jew. There are Jews in the world who like to separate themselves off from the world, who don't follow the news, who don't know actually very much what's going on in the world. And that's based on this Mishnah. Their understanding is that we are here to study Torah, and that in fact it's the study of Torah that keeps the world going. God only continues the world, allows the world to continue, because someone somewhere is studying Torah. That much I learned at yeshiva in Jerusalem many decades ago. At the same time, though, that can be very problematic, because when we look at prophetic literature, the prophets constantly are yearning for us to work with societies and a larger form of politics to help create a just society, to help shed injustice in our society, to lift up those who need support. And that is definitely politics. And in order to do that, we have to involve ourselves in government. And there's a real challenge between politics and party politics, because we have to be very careful, especially as a Jewish community, not to align ourselves with a political party, because that isn't good for us, it's not good for our community, it's not good for diversity, and if nothing else, it limits who we are. And so what we do instead is we involve ourselves in politics in the way that our society functions. For example, as the president of the Interfaith Leadership Alliance of Santa Fe, next week I'm going to another meeting for the Mayor's Homelessness Forum Steering Committee, which I've been invited to participate in, because homelessness is a political matter and we have to all work together. And this meeting is a meeting between government officials, between representatives, local government officials, between representatives of faith communities and representatives of business communities. Now, if I were to take the strict words of Rabbi Neil ben Hakana, I shouldn't be doing that. I should be sitting at home studying Torah and teaching Torah. But I can't. I literally can't do that. I can't sit idly by, Leviticus 19, I can't sit idly by while people are dying in the streets, while people are suffering and struggling due to homelessness. And so for me, being Jewish is about studying Torah, it's about spirituality, it's about services and ritual, and it's about working with local government to help improve the lives of people around us. So I've often struggled with Rabbi Neil ben Hakana's statement here. Although now we're just coming to the end of Mental Health Awareness Month, I do see something really important and positive in it, which is the problem of doom scrolling. Every morning before I take the dog out for a walk, I open up my phone and I see what's going on in the world. I actually feel like I have to as a rabbi, because what happens in the world affects members in the community, and sometimes the sermon or sometimes a message might need to go out that helps members through what's happening in the world. But as I sit and I scroll, it's called doom scrolling, because you go through the news and you're like, oy vavoy, I can't believe this is happening and this as well, and it's depressing. And so I do wonder if Rabbi Neil ben Hakana's Mishnah here can be reread or reinterpreted as something to do with mental health. The yoke of Torah is the yoke of learning, is the yoke of trying to create a fair society, the yoke of trying to find joy in connection with God and connection with other people. The yoke of government is a heavy yoke. It's a heavy burden, a burden of a society that is struggling. And there's no question that American society today is struggling, profoundly struggling, with inequality, with hatred, with division. There's a lot that this society is struggling with. And so maybe this is a reminder to find joy in Jewish community. Maybe this is something that says, yes, we need to find a balance. We do need to know about what's happening in the world. We can't shut ourselves off from what's happening because ultimately it affects us too. There's that Pastor Niemoller quotation that we all know well that really lends itself to that. That when people are targeted, when others are targeted, if we don't stand up for them, if we don't speak for them, eventually we become targeted. Although the truth is, it turns out, it's usually the Jews who are targeted first. And that's certainly something that we're seeing again and again in today's society. So we can't shut ourselves off from the rest of the world. At the same time, the yoke, the burden of government and the yoke of worldly concerns, that's doom-scrolling. And that's something that I think we need to find a balance with when it comes to our mental health. Because the truth is, when we come together, as we did for our Tikkun Leil Shavuot, as we do for our Torah study, as we do for prayer services, we encounter something different. We let the burden of the outside world go, and we search for meaning and connection and joy. Meaning and connection and joy are so powerful and so important. And that is a yoke, a burden that lifts us, not that drags us down. So for me, perhaps, I can read this now through a mental health lens. And that mental health lens is working out the balance. When the rest of the world, when the difficulties of the world seem so oppressive, so dark, so challenging, find community. Come and join us. Come and join us in prayer. Come and join us in study. Come and join us in social events. Because that is a different kind of yoke, a different kind of burden. The burden of going out and being with other people. And I don't mean burden in a negative way. I mean the opposite. I mean the fact that we have to put in a little effort to be with other people, to create community. That is a joyous burden. And I think that may be what he's talking about. And if not, I certainly think that's a way we can read what he's saying. Tonight, my sermon, which is not yet written as I create this, but the sermon is on neurodiversity. And for me, I think this is actually a really important way to wrap up Mental Health Awareness Month. It was originally going to be on autism specifically, but I think actually on neurodiversity. I'm actually not much of a fan of that phrase when people say people are neurodivergent. I actually prefer neurodiverse. Or, as somebody said to me, neurospicy. I like that a lot. The idea is that there isn't a normal way to be. And in fact, as we're seeing in society, with people who are really very ill-informed about neurodiversity, we actually see people saying, well, this is all coming up more and there must be a cause and so on. The reality is people have thought differently. There have been many different forms of neurodiversity over the years. And it's just now that we're learning how many people are neurodiverse. And I think that's a strength. I think it's a superpower, actually. I think it's really important. And so tonight's sermon is going to be about that, celebrating neurodiversity. I hope you'll be able to join us for that. And Fred will be back playing as well. Fred's been away for a couple of weeks, and so that's very exciting as well. We love having Jed play and accompany, and we love having Fred play as well. So it's lovely to have Fred back. Tomorrow morning, instead of Torah study, we have our way of wrapping up Mental Health Awareness Month with our mental health auction. This is an event, Fly. We had an event that I ran with the teenagers a couple of weeks ago, which was extremely successful and extremely helpful for them in terms of their own mental health. And so now we're running it for adults. And I know that this awareness of mental health over the last month has helped a number of members of our community who have reached out to me and to others to seek support. And so my hope with our mental health auction tomorrow morning, which is at 9 a.m. and it's got to start promptly at 9 a.m., is a way of just providing more support and helping people work out what it is that you need. So I hope you'll be able to join us for that too. I think this has been a really interesting month of mental health awareness, It's something we haven't really focused on before, and I think it has been really powerful for me and for others as well. And the question as we go into June and leave Mental Health Awareness Month is, what next? What do we do next with it? And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. So I look forward to seeing you, if possible, this evening at our Kabbalat Shabbat service, tomorrow morning for our mental health auction, and also for our Shacharit service, or indeed sometime soon. I wish you Shabbat Shalom.